Welcome to California in Focus. I'm Eliana Kernodle. California lawmakers have proposed a bill restricting self-defense. Joining me with more on this story is the Center Square's California reporter, Kenneth Schrupp. Kenneth, what is in this bill?
Hey, Eliana, this is a really odd bill. These California lawmakers proposed restricting self-defense, but by mandating retreat, so you have a duty to try retreating. Otherwise, you can be tried for homicide. So this will also end crime-stopping protections. Historically, there have been protections where if you are trying to maintain the peace, you're trying to stop a felony, you're trying to protect someone or their property, you may not have to be charged with homicide. Unfortunately, this bill would eliminate that protection, which would really increase the liability you could face for trying to help someone in danger if you accidentally hurt someone. It would also require you to only use force that is, quote, reasonably necessary. So if you're found to have used more force than possibly needed to put down or prevent a threat, then you also could face that higher legal threshold and end up in prison. Crucially, this bill would eliminate your ability to defend yourself in a stand your ground fashion when you're defending your own property. It says that you would no longer be justified in killing a person if you are just defending property or habitation. At least that's what it says in the bill summary. This is sort of a foundation to self-defense in this country, the ability to defend your own home. So there was a lot of backlash against this.
And what are people saying about this bill, particularly the author and some of the supporters?
Well, let's first talk about what the supporters say, because that'll lead into what the author does think. The supporters of the bill, Everytown for Gun Safety, was one of the organizations that immediately put out a statement of support. This is a gun control group. They said that this bill would block white supremacists from exploiting self-defense to justify shootings. And let me read you a quote from them. They said, "White supremacists and other extremists have hidden behind self-defense laws to fire a gun and turn any conflict into a death sentence. We thank Assemblymember Zbur for his commitment to gun safety." So let's go ahead and actually take a look at what Zbur said after the national backlash to this law. He said, "AB 1333 was never intended to limit a crime victim's right to defend yourself, your family, or your home. The goal is to prevent wannabe vigilantes like Kyle Rittenhouse from provoking violence and claiming self-defense after the fact. We will amend the bill to make this crystal clear." This quote is interesting because it doesn't really seem to reflect an understanding of what the bill says, because this bill does create a right of someone who instigates violence to defend themselves from defenders who make them feel unsafe, like they are about to die. So it's very interesting that he would say that, given that the bill does create this ability for defense for instigators.
So this kind of reminds me of the famous case with in New York with Daniel Penny, someone stepping in to try to address someone who seemed like a threat. How would this bill impact a situation like that?
If you are a bystander and this bill is passed and you decide to get involved, you could find yourself in prison. Daniel Penny was one of several men who held down the individual who died on the train. This mandate to retreat could have been invoked to say that anyone who was on the train could have just gotten out of there. Penny was in no threat. There was no risk of harm to Penny, so maybe he could have just retreated. Maybe other people on the train could have just retreated to another part of the train, and that none of this was necessary.
Well, Kenneth, thank you for your insights on this story. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.